Have you got a dormant limited company and wondering what you need to file? Well, watch on. As a business accountant, my team and I spend all day long helping business owners on their journey, and one of the things we get asked a lot about is dormant limited companies. Now, quite often an owner will come and they'll say, my company's dormant. Now, we did another video on this, which I'm sure will appear just about here at the moment, that tells you about whether you're actually dormant, because you'd be surprised in a lot of cases you wouldn't be considered dormant from the tax or from Companies House perspective. So go and watch that video if you've got any queries on whether you are dormant, but we're going to presume that you are in this case and talk about what you actually need to file. So before we get into the detail, make sure you click the subscribe button below if you enjoy these type of videos to be notified whenever we release another one. Now, over the years, it's become far easier, I think, because people have got used to online, and Google's built up an amazing history of free information out there, videos like this and everything else. It does seem that it's easy to form a limited company. Now, quite often, forming a limited company can seem straightforward, but actually you can miss out on quite a few tax saving opportunities and also legalities and things you have to have. And actually we did another video on that as well, so definitely go check that out. But what's interesting to me is the amount of people that form companies just to have the name, for example. They've just got loads of companies and without actually thinking about the potential costs of keeping these things live on Companies House. So if you've got a dormant company, and quite often you might have done that to sort of save the name, or you just want to have it there in the background ready for when you want to switch to limited or something like that, then you're going to have to do certain things each year to keep them live. The benefit of being dormant, however, is those documents to keep them live are actually not particularly onerous. They're not that difficult, but there is some hoops you've got to jump through to make sure it stays on Companies House as a legal entity. So firstly, if you're considered dormant by the tax people, HMRC, HM Revenue Customs, then you don't actually have to file a corporation tax return. The only reason I mention that, because obviously in this video we're talking about things you do need to file, is that quite often in year one, they might issue you one anyway, because you haven't told them that you're dormant and they know about you. So do make sure to check and to ask your accountant if they're doing it to check that you're not going to get a penalty. The penalties for these things are instant £100 fines and they get bigger every time you don't do them. Okay, quite often if you have been dormant, you can appeal the penalty, but it's a lot of hassle and extra work. So check that out. You will have received a letter from the tax man. If it's come through and it says corporation tax and it's got a 10-digit UTR tax reference on it, there's a high chance that actually they're going to want to return. So get in contact with them. It's very straightforward to do, and they'll mark you as dormant, and then it's up to you then to tell them when you begin trading. Now, in terms of what you actually need to file, there is a couple of things, and it's all really with Companies House. One is you need an annual return. It's what they call a confirmation statement that's also linked with another report that gets added to it called a Persons of Significant Control Register. It's quite a mouthful, and basically what that is a return that tells the public record, okay, these people own the company and these are in charge of it, and here's the list of directors and all the important people, and that goes on annually. And that's normally due around the time, the sort of your birthday, your company's birthday. It can change depending on if you've submitted another return at another date and all this kind of stuff, but let's just think of it annually on your birthday. In and around that time, you're going to have to do one of these returns. Again, you can do it online. If you're not comfy with it, accountants do them all day, every day for live companies, and I'm sure they'll be more than willing to help you with your dormants. I know we certainly do here. And as a result, that can be done. But if you really were trying to keep the costs down, there is an online portal with Companies House that I will link in the comments that can take you through that process. So that's the first one, is doing that. Now, I can't stress how important it is to do that return. If you don't do that return, the Companies House will eventually move to strike you off. And what that means is you'll cease to legally exist. You'll get advertised in the Gazette to check there's no creditors that want to come out, people that you owe money to, come out of the woodwork and say, no, they're not going to, I don't want them not existing, because actually we want to recover money from them, they owe us money, and then that process will go through and be struck off. Now, if you've got a fairly dormant company like we're talking about, the chances are that would go through the Gazette with nobody asking for their money because you haven't done anything to owe anybody any money, and then you've lost the company, lost the name, and if you ever want that back, you can do it. It's a court process. I've helped clients do it who've come to us, and it is a difficult thing to do, but you can do it. But anyway, avoid it by doing that return. Now, the other thing you need to do is the accounts. Now, because it's dormant, and we've already said we're going to presume you're dormant as far as Companies House are concerned here, is a very cut down version of the accounts. There isn't a lot going on. Quite often it's just things like how many shares the company's got, and if they've got a little bit of cash in hand or at the bank for that share money. It's not a lot of things on the balance sheet, as they call it, the statement that shows the sort of state of the company at a given point. Now, there is a free online tool, again, with Companies House to do this. You can even currently do it on paper, and the same with the confirmation statement. You can do it on paper. The confirmation statement we talked about earlier, you have to pay a £13 filing fee to Companies House to do it. I think it actually goes up to 15 if you submit by paper, but it's possible to do both the accounts and the confirmation statement on paper, but I wouldn't. I would do it online. You can also lock it down so that people can't send paper forms in, which is quite good for as an anti-fraud measure. So there's a lot of reasons to do it online, but that's what you need to do. And the deadline for that is 9 months after your company year end. Be careful on company year ends, because I think people presume it's a year end, but it's what Companies House believe it to be. You can change that again online, but do check it. And again, I'll put a link in the comments, but you can go, if you just put Companies House Beta into Google, BETA, you'll get an ability to just search your company name, and it shows you all the key dates. It shows you the date for filing your confirmation statement, it shows you the date for the accounts are due, and it's all very clear. Right now, as we're recording this during the middle of the COVID crisis, they've actually extended the deadline, so you get slightly longer, but generally it's 9 months. Where people get caught out is in year one. In year one, it's 21 months from the date that you formed the company. So you don't get quite as much time as you might in other years. And I've seen people get stung with that so many times. So bear that one in mind. Do check the Companies House filing deadline. I mean, they do write to you at your registered office in snail mail, in post, to remind you of these things. But in busy life business owners, they might have changed the address and all sorts. And it's just amazing to me the amount of times those things get missed. So just be on top of that. And that's it. Once you've got those things filed, your company will continue to be live, and you can go about your business and keep it there in the background until you do need it, in which case tell the taxman when you go live, and then get yourself trading. Now, when you do start trading, it doesn't become dormant. I would really recommend finding yourself an accountant, because at this stage, you're going to really need some help to put together a full set of accounts to go with your corporation tax return, and a slightly more onerous set of accounts to go to Companies House. So with all of those issues, it's a really good idea to speak to an accountant. So that's it. If you've enjoyed this video and got some value from it, please do share it with your networks. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.